We're now up to the direct materials purchases budget, which will certainly be helpful when we're looking at cash flow budget to look at how much cash needs we're going to have to fulfill all of our production requirements. This one gets a little more complicated, and this problem is very, very simplified. But you can see that if we were making cars or airplanes or even um, tables or desks or something where there are multiple direct material components that go into one finished good item, this thing will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So this one's very easy in the fact that we only have t-shirts and we have ink are the only two direct materials that are required to make our finished product. So we'll have two little schedules here or budgets for each direct material. And what I'm trying to understand is how much of the t-shirts do I need to buy and cash do I have to spend to buy those t-shirts for each quarter. So again, the common theme here, and I've got the sales budget flowed into the production budget. Now these production figures are going to flow into the purchases budget because we are going to buy material for products that we're purchasing. So the first place we start with the direct materials purchases budget is how much of the end unit do we expect to produce, and we did that in the production budget. So I'm simply going to link back to that production budget and pull across how many t-shirts we think we're going to produce each quarter. That's our starting point. We're looking here then, how many t-shirts do we have to buy? Well, this is a one-to-one relationship. For every one t-shirt that I create, I obviously only need one t-shirt. If this were wheels on a car or something, you'd obviously need 4 wheels for every one car. So the relationship would change based on the product you're producing. Okay, so this tells me logically what are my production needs. How many t-shirts do I need to fulfill production? So I'd multiply the units that we're going to produce times the quantity per one finished part. I need 1,060 t-shirts just to meet my production needs for that first quarter. That makes sense. We applied the same logic to all the remaining quarters. Okay, so that's great, but again, just like we had with the production budget when we had ending inventory, we're not going to run this thing so close that if we ruin a t-shirt or one is damaged as it comes in, that we can't make our production orders. So, on the flip side, we want to have a little more completed at the end, so that again, if we've got a buffer, if we sell more than we expected. So the ending inventory is going to be in addition to the quantity we're going to produce. So we need to figure out how many are we going to expect or desire to have on hand for these t-shirts. Like, what if something happens to the delivery truck that's bringing us new t-shirts, right? Our lead time isn't what we thought it would be and we run out of t-shirts. So we're going to have a buffer here on the front end to make sure we've got enough ending inventory as well as beginning inventory. And so we're going to look for the desired ending inventory based on what the company thinks they want to have, and that's buried into this paragraph right here. We're told that their policy is to have 10% of the following quarter's production needs in ending inventory. Okay, production needs, remember, is this number here, and we want to have 10% of the following quarter's production needs on hand. Okay, so we want to have more t-shirts by this many. Oops, and then the last quarter, obviously you see the error I made there. For quarter 4, we can't take production needs of the yearly total. We would take 10% of the quarters 1 of the next year, but we don't have that production number, which is why they tell us up here somewhere that my ending inventory let's see if I can find it. My ending inventory at the end of the year, the desired ending inventory is 106 plain t-shirts. Okay, so that number goes in here, 106. Okay, so we're probably going to have some t-shirts on hand from the prior month, so we don't need to buy all of these t-shirts. And so again, we're going to have to look back up to the company's policy, perhaps, to at least for the first quarter. You're going to see here what we're going to do. The beginning inventory, let me find, okay, right here, the factory has 58 plain t-shirts and so much ink on hand at the start of quarter 1. Look at that number, I forgot it. 58. So we started with 58, and then that's all they told us. They didn't tell us anything about quarter 2, 3, or 4. Remember the relationship we have with inventory. So my ending inventory, again this is a guess, my expected ending inventory at that first quarter is 126. So logically that's what I start my second quarter off with. Again, in the third quarter, my beginning inventory is going to be the ending inventory from the second quarter. In the fourth quarter, my beginning inventory is the ending inventory of the third quarter, and so on and so forth. Let me just sum these here before I forget. Probably just carry this formula down. Okay, that brings us to here. How many t-shirts do we need to buy? Buy, because that'll tell us how much cash we have to spend. Well, we need this much for production, and we're going to add to that amount the quantity we want to have on hand for safety stock. But we don't need to buy that many because we already have 58 on hand. So I'd subtract the 58 from those two quantities, and that tells me I need to buy 1,128 t-shirts for this quarter. I can just take this same formula and carry it across to all the corresponding quarters. And again, it's the desired production, the production needs, plus my ending inventory minus my beginning inventory. Okay, great. Let me just bring this one down so we've got it all the way across on the yearly total. And then the cost per t-shirt is going to tell me then how much cash do I have to spend to purchase those t-shirts. We have to look somewhere else to find the cost per t-shirt. It's $3 each for each t-shirt. Okay, so $3, and assuming that doesn't change. So the total purchases for t-shirts is the quantity we're going to buy multiplied by the cost per unit to spend $3,384 in that quarter one, and you can see I can just carry that formula across so I know how much cash I need to spend on plain t-shirts every quarter. Okay, we're going to follow that same exact logic for the ink because we add a logo to each of the t-shirts that it is we sell. So again, we're going to start with this production number, which came from the production budget. So no different so far from the t-shirt. And this is going to be different. We don't use one ink. We need the unit of measure. T-shirt is a t-shirt, right? But ink comes typically in some unit of measure, like an ounce or something like that, right here, fluid ounces. So each t-shirt consumes 5 ounces of ink. 5 ounces of ink. Okay, so for every one t-shirt we need 5 ounces of ink, and that tells us that for our production needs, we're going to take the units produced times the ounces of ink. 5,300 ounces of ink we need to meet those production requirements. And that same formula works its way all the way across all 4 quarters. So the desired ending inventory, again, we want to have some on hand in case something happens. We got a bad lot of ink, or we spill some, or something like that. And we're told that we have 390 ounces of ink on hand at the start of the year. Okay, so that's ending inventory that's going to be my beginning inventory actually. And then at the end of the year we're going to have ending inventory. Okay, so let me go back and rephrase that. I've probably confused you. My factory has plain t-shirts on hand, so that's the inventory that we're going to start with, which actually goes right down here. 390 is what we start with. Let me go back and find the desired ending inventory. The desired ending inventory, they told us somewhere up here, I already forgot the amount, is 10%. Yeah, we're going to have 10% of the following quarter's production needs in inventory. And that doesn't change whether it's t-shirts or ink. So we're going to take this amount times 10%. Right? This amount times 10%. The following quarter's demands times 10%. When we get to the end here, that fourth quarter, where we have to find other information. They say at the end of the year we want to have 530 ounces of ink. So put 530 there. Okay, so the beginning inventory, remember we pulled this number from the data given, is my last quarter's ending inventory. Last quarter's ending inventory. Oops. Last quarter's ending inventory. And then the direct materials to be purchased. Again, this is no different from the t-shirts. It's my production needs plus my desired ending inventory minus my beginning inventory. Carry that all the way across. Cost per unit. The ink has a 20 cents per ounce cost. I got that from above. And so the total ink purchases the 5540 times the 20 cents, and we're going to carry that all the way across. And I'll just fill in this annual column right here. Obviously screwed something up, because this needs to be the sum. Each one sells for 20 cents. Okay, so the total direct material purchases, remember I'm looking at cash we spent, it's going to be all of the t-shirts that I purchased plus all of the ink I purchased. And we're going to then carry that all the way across. And we can see we need $23,000 for direct materials. Okay, so that really helps us when we establish the cash budget and knowing what outflows we're going to have for direct material purchases.